This photo may not seem like much. If you don't know who it is, it's former Sydney, GWS and Carlton player Jed Lamb. He played 66 games in the AFL, but before the Giants and Blues game in round 17, he clearly associated with Carlton. After being up by as much as 39 points, it all came crashing down for the Blues, who ended up losing the game. But the photo just made me think about traded players and what happened when they played against their old side. For the biggest names, did they struggle individually or dominate, and did they end up winning the encounter? Well, for some of the biggest trades in the 2023 off-season, the success has been split. Brodie Grundy overall has done the best. If you cast your memory back to opening round, Melbourne visited Sydney at the SCG. Now in hindsight, Big Max Gawn was apparently sick during the week and on game day. Still, he was out there. The failed ruck experiment ended up backfiring on the Ds, as Grundy was one of the best players on the ground. He had 23 disposals, 9 clearances and 33 hitouts, while Gawn had just 14 touches, 2 clearances and 37 hitouts. The Swans in the last quarter burst away to win 86-64. The most entertaining of these games had to be when Jack Ginnivan faced Collingwood during gather round. The Premiership forward requested a trade to the Hawks, and the meeting was set early in the year. With 3 minutes left in the first quarter, Ginnivan fittingly got a free kick for a high tackle. He kicked the important goal and did a little celebration with it. There was plenty of drama during the game too, but Collingwood were mostly in control. Another Ginnivan goal early in the last quarter did make it a game. Collingwood, without scoring for the last 15 minutes, were able to hold on. It was a fantastic match, and although Hawthorn lost, Ginnivan played well, gathering 11 disposals and kicking a couple of goals. The final big name recruit to face his old side was Lachie Schultz. I'm not sure about the entire history of when players play their former clubs, but I'm pretty sure he is the only one to have played in a draw. With Freo down 25 points with 7 minutes left, that controversial free kick gave them the head start to get back in the game. Jeremy Sharp had the chance to win it, but aimed too far left. Schultz himself didn't kick a goal, but picked up 15 disposals. Not many had a stranger game than Lance Franklin. His first matchup against Hawthorn came in round 8 2014 on a Friday night at ANZ Stadium. Hawthorn were first on the ladder, while Sydney were just inside the top 8. It was a classic back and forth game, which often happened between the two in the mid-2010s. Believe it or not, Franklin hadn't kicked a goal up until three-quarter time, but it's not like he didn't have his chances. He had 7 of them and missed all of them. The 1,000 goal kicker had a scoreline of 0-7 heading into the last quarter, but in just 2 minutes, while the Swans were trailing, he finally hit the target. With his famous left foot wind-up, he finally struck it perfect to put Sydney in front by 4 points, and then a half fluky around the body dribbler rolled through. He missed all his normal regulation shots, but when it counted, the new $10 million man shifted the course of the game. Sydney carried the momentum through the last 10 minutes and ended up winning 107-88. Franklin had 21 disposals and 10 marks to go alongside the 2-7 he kicked on the night. It was fitting the two would meet in the 2014 Grand Final as well. Hawthorn dominated from the jump and ended up winning by 63 points. Franklin was one of Sydney's best, kicking 4 goals, but the move did see him miss out on a further 2 premierships as Hawthorn went on to complete the three-peat in 2015. Dangerfield might be the only player in history to get a round of applause from opposition supporters. When the claps rang around Geelong's home ground in round 23 2015, it seemed destined Dangerfield would leave Adelaide and join the Cats. He returned home, and just like Franklin, round 8 was the meeting point between the two sides. However, on this occasion, Dangerfield would travel to Adelaide, and it set up such an exciting storyline to focus on.
It's all mate Thompson, another fitting. We've got the oil on the arms here. The old school oil on the arms. He's ready to roll. Little wink there to the umpire. We're almost ready for a start.
Surprisingly, not a single Adelaide player put any physical pressure on Dangerfield. Now, he did leave the club on good terms and was close with many of the Crows players, but it was strange that he didn't receive even a little bump. The crowd was not so sympathetic, and every time he touched the ball, boos swirled around Adelaide Oval. The Cats made a good start on the road, but when Dangerfield had his chance to impact, this happened.
Stanley, very mobile. Dangerfield dropped the mark. Recovers. Junior's with him. Clever by Dangerfield. For the catch was absolutely perfect, as we see there. Paddy dropped a sitter. Absolute sitter for him.
Even at his peak, he showed that he was human. The game itself was a tight affair, but a final 10-minute burst saw Geelong win. Dangerfield was in their best players, gathering 33 disposals, 6 clearances, and laying 11 tackles. He was stoic in his post-game interview.
How was it playing against your old teammates you spent so many years with over here in Adelaide?
It was different, but to be totally honest, it really was just business. That's what we're here for, that's what they're here for as well. So I think everyone's professional enough to know that the game that's on hold is far more important.
It was a monumental move by Gary Ablett Jr. to leave Geelong and head north to the upstart Gold Coast Suns. Clearly the money was too good to refuse, and the inaugural captain had the challenge of trying to lead a young side in its first year. The Suns couldn't even play home games at the then Metricon Stadium until round 10. Its redevelopment was still going on, so the Gabba is where they played their so-called home games early on. That round 10 game, the opening of the Suns' new stadium, just happened to be Ablett's first game against his old side in Geelong. The Cats were undefeated, winning their first 8 games of the season, while Gold Coast had managed a couple of wins. In a surprise, it was an extremely competitive first half. Gold Coast jumped out to a 3-goal lead in the first quarter, and after a Geelong response, extended it to 22 midway through the second. It seemed like it might be the Suns' night, as former rugby player Carmichael Hunt kicked a ripping goal, which was his first in the AFL. The Suns went into half-time remarkably with an 11-point lead, but that would be the best the Suns could offer up. The second half completely flipped. Geelong kicked 13 goals, Gold Coast kicked just 1 goal. Steve Johnson kicked 7 for the game, but Ablett did lead all possession winners, finishing with 31 disposals, 7 clearances and 3 goal assists. Not only did Geelong fans get the last laugh on the night, but they did for the year. The Cats made the grand final and burst away from Collingwood late. So like Franklin, Ablett had to watch his former side lift up the cup the season after he left.